dolphins. I think I should always turn the camera on because when I do, it gets really calm. But what has happened to us, we know that weather is coming, and we tried to get as fast as we could up to Jacksonville, but there was no room at the inn. So we tried to go to Savannah, and there's no room at the inn there either. So now we're headed to Charleston. We got 72 miles to go. Hopefully get there at 2 in the morning if everything goes right. And yeah, it's no fun. We've been getting beat up for quite a while. And if you look at this, I don't know if it's going to show you or not, but it says tonight. This is off of Charleston. Gale warning. Southeast winds 15 to 25, becoming 5 to 20 to 30 knots early, then increasing to 25 to 35. Seas 8 to 13 feet Wednesday. So we got to get in as quick as we can. Wednesday, south winds 30 to 40, seas 11 to 19 feet. Scattered thunder showers. Not really concerned about them. Anyway, yeah, it's not fun. We've all been beat up for a while. Getting too old for this. But it's always fun to see the dolphins. They're coming here. But, oh, look at them come right out. How beautiful. Anyway, hopefully the next thing I report to you will be us all tied up safe and secure in Charleston waiting for the weather to go by. That's it. Hello and welcome, I'm Tim and this is TimBatSea. And now we are getting ready to go into Charleston, and we have to we come in through the jetties and get into the anchorage, and we got to round up on the barge. And something that I haven't shown you before is how, you know, a lot of people are, you know, we talk about how we want good visibility for a lot of things, but there are some things we do whether we have good visibility or not. One of them is rounding up on a barge. It doesn't really matter whether we round up in a rainstorm or a snowstorm or late at night or moonless night or broad daylight. There's a bunch of things we can do, and we're going to talk about this, that we can go. So even in a situation where right now we can see that yellow stripe of the barge up there, and incidentally that part of the barge is what they call a head log, and many barges will be painted white, or our company paints them yellow. Other barge companies do as well. But the reason for that is for visibility. For example, you won't see the actual barge coming at you, but you'll see the head log coming at you. And if the whole thing was painted the same color, you wouldn't have the contrast. So this is kind of something that helps you out. Now we have searchlights in the doghouse that can help us as well, but because the searchlight won't automatically follow where you are and you're moving back and forth, and it's, you know, a dynamic environment, you can set the searchlight up for what you want to see, but in about 30 seconds or so it's no longer where you want it to be. So sometimes it's better, if you can, to figure out how things are. So imagine tonight we weren't able to see as well as we are. There's some things that we can do, and one of the things I do is I look at the wire, and I'm not talking about the wire that we're looking at from the drum of the winch right back to the Texas bar to the donut. I'm talking about from the Texas bar down, and then if I'm close enough to the barge, I can see the bridle of the barge, and that bridle lifting up and down because there's so much weight in there with the chain and the fish plate and the pennant. All of that has so much weight that as it lifts up, I can determine how much tension's on the wire. And so when we do this, there's a couple things that I need to do. First of all, I'll be back here. I think in this particular time we had Chip, the captain who'll be taking over for me in just a few hitches. He's been a captain here for years, long before I got here. Then he went to work for another company, and now he's back here again because he forgot how great it was. Anyway, he's in the wheelhouse, and what I have him doing is he'll be steering and talking with traffic, and in this case, I think we have a pilot on board as well, and so he'll be monitoring all the electronics and taking care of the radio traffic for me. But I have a radio comms from the doghouse up to him. So once he'll tell me where, because the pilot and I have already agreed where we want to be in the anchorage, and when we determine that by a couple things. In this particular case, there was wind and the barge is light, but there's also a screaming ebb tide, so the tide was really coming out of there. So we wanted to get high in the anchorage, assuming that by the time we had control of the barge again, we'd be low in the anchorage. Well, probably wouldn't be low, but if we were, it wouldn't be that bad a deal. So that was our plan. So what I have to do is keep the barge where it is. Now, we're probably still, Chip is probably still steering on the autopilot. And I've set my predictor line to 6 minutes. When we're offshore, we usually run it at about a half an hour or 30 minutes. And we've talked about this before, but people say, why do you set it for 6 minutes? And if you've ever done any plotting, you'll know that 6 minutes is a tenth of an hour, and a tenth of an hour is much easier to plot with than say 10 minutes, a sixth of an hour. So the decimal system is always easier. Ask anyone that knows the metric system. They'll tell you the same thing. But anyway, so I've put a spot on the chart where we want to end up. Chip is steering us there, and as he's doing it, he'll tell me, all right, we got about 5 minutes to go, we got about 3 minutes to go, and what I need to do is I need to start pulling the power back. So I'll be in the doghouse seeing just what you're seeing here, and I'm slowly reducing power, and the idea is that if I pull it right back, the tugboat will stop, but the kinetic energy in the barge will keep the barge moving ahead, and it will roll right over us. So what we have to do is slowly reduce that power, and even if the barge doesn't roll over us, if the wire goes slack, it'll go down, and then the barge will slow down, and then the wire will come up, and it'll go ba-ba-bing, and that's nothing that we want either. So it's imperative that I, in a controlled fashion, bring the power back to in clutch as possible. And as we're doing this, Chip will be calling on the radio and telling me, all right, 3 minutes to go, you're down to 4.6 knots or something like that. And then when we get closer, and we have the deck all set up right now, the guys on deck have got everything all set to go. I think when this happened, this was probably about 2 in the morning, but we'll have everybody up for this just because it's something that we do with all hands on board. It is true that in my career I've worked with other crews where just the mate and the deckhand, or the captain and the deckhand, can do everything themselves. But that's when you're usually doing this quite often, where we're doing a tow where we might only make and break the wire once or twice a hitch, and this is a relatively young crew. And when I say young, I mean that we haven't worked together for 100 years. The chief and I have been together for a long time, but everyone else is relatively new to me. So because of that, I think it's important that everybody gets up and everybody participates, and those that don't have something they can do can be eyes for a safety watch. So we are reducing power, we're getting things ready, and this is a hard thing to do. I'm back there, and every fiber in my body wants to go and get this over with. I want to roll on the barge. Oh, and I was telling you, too, that you don't always have to see the barge. So even if it was thick of fog or it was raining so hard, I can tell, as long as that wire's up, I can tell how far away it is and how whether it's going. Okay, so right about now, it looks like I'm starting to go. So I've asked for the steering. Chip has probably said, okay, we're getting up to the mark. We want to be down around 3 knots. I think, if the tide was coming, if the tide was ebbing, then we can even go faster because it's going to slow us down quickly. He sends the steering back to me in the doghouse. I take over the steering, so now I have the throttles and the steering, and I come hard over to port. And incidentally, if you ever have to steer a boat from the doghouse or from the aft position, and you're using the NFU, That's the non-follow-up steering. And you say some of the levers are pointed forward and some of them are pointed back. The thing that if they're done right, and this should be every one of them out there, you push the lever. It doesn't matter if it's pointed forward or back. You push the lever in the direction you want the bow to go. So that's just something that you can keep in your back of your head. Okay, so now I've rounded up, and what I need to do is the barge is still coming ahead. So I round up, and unfortunately the angle of the camera, because I'm not running the camera, I'm running the boat here. Unfortunately, you can't really see what I'm doing here. But I need to go, and you can see we're going backwards. You can see the water there. I'm backing really hard on that inboard engine, and now we come in, and we're getting alongside. And then once we get up here, the guys that are up in the two guys up in the bow, and one guy will have a big boat hook, and he's going to be grabbing the donut or the strap that we have hanging off of a cleat that we set up before we left. This is something that doesn't need to be done when you have the tankerman riding with you, but with this particular contract, we have the tankerman with us. So one guy will use a boat hook to grab that strap, it hangs in the water, and then pull it in. The other guy will grab it, and the two of them will go and wrap it around. All this time, I can't see them because they're up in the bow, and I'm still working on. And it's important that I stay back here and manage the tension on the wire and that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, Chip is providing overlook, and he's watching everything on the radar, watching everything on the chart plotter. He's monitoring the speed, talking to the any traffic that's around there, and making sure that if there's a problem, he might say, "Tim, you got to do something pretty quick because we're gonna have a problem shortly." Or he doesn't say anything, which means everything's great. And in this case, everything was great, so we were kind of happy about that. But one thing that he does do is, because I can't see where the guys are, Chip will be, and usually the guys will call me in, say you got to come 15 feet ahead and 10 feet over, or something like that. But once they start working on the wire, on the donut, the strap that hangs down there, they can't really go and talk on the radio while they're working. So Chip, since he's up there, he'll be saying, "All right, Tim, you need to come over a little left, a little bit further," and sometimes we can even have him take over the steering at that point. I'll still run the throttles, and he'll just steer right over till they get it on there. And then they get it, and they take a big wrap around there. And now, as we come back, I can start tightening up. So you see, I'm bringing in the wire. And of course, this would be totally different if we had a problem. But right now, everything's fine. He's got an overlook of this, not only on the radars, but also on the chart plotter. And he's the pilot is on board as well as a formality. So you can see that the socket is over the edge right there. Now everything's fine. We have control of the barge. If we need to get out of somebody's way, if we need to get out of shoal water, we can do all of this right here. But if we have time, there's a couple things I'd like to do. I'd like to put up a towing strap alongside. So we have a bow line. We need to put one up. We don't always have to put one up in the middle, but with a strong ebb tide, I think it was a good idea here to put one up there. And then we put up the soft case, the suitcase or the soft line in the stern. And what that will do, you're going to see it go up here in a little while. And you say, well, why don't you just use the wire for a stern line? The problem is that there's no give in the wire, and so any even a 6-inch swell, let alone somebody's wake that goes by, even though we might weigh 300 tons, the barge and the tug will move independently, and because of that, shock load can be introduced into all the lines. There goes the heaving line has been sent down, so that means that now that we've got that bow line up and we're all secure, we put the ladder over, the tankerman goes up there and he throws down the heaving line. Now Cameron is taking the suitcase drum, the soft line, and he's going to pull that up, and I'm paying it out right now. And so once we get this up there and tight, I'll tighten that up, and then I'll actually relax the wire a little bit. And we do that just so that if we do hit a wake, or if the barge and the tug move independently, which they most definitely will, the line, the soft line will be able to absorb that high, what do you call it, the shock load. It'll be able to absorb the shock load better. And if people say, well, wait a minute, Dyneema or the Amstel Blue has no stretch, you are right. But what's happening is it's it sets into the drum on top of the other stuff. So if it rolls, it'll just bury itself in the drum and allow it a little bit of shock. So there, we've got that tight. You can see Cameron held up a piece of chafe gear just so when we roll, that Amstel Blue, that soft line there that has the ability to either cut itself in half or cut right through that steel right there. So we put the chafing gear there to reduce that. So I think now they're going to go and they're going to work on the towing line up ahead. Once again, I check in with Chip to make sure that we are cool, everything's cool, we're in a good position, we're where we want to be, there's no inbound or outbound traffic, everybody's happy. And so now they'll start working on that. And once they get that done, then the pilot and well, I'd say but I think that at this point it's on Chip's watch. He's going to go up with the pilot, and the two of them will take the boat and the barge into our lay berth in Charleston. But that's about it. We got a little bit more video, but just kind of pointing out here into the abyss, so it doesn't really matter. Thank you so much for watching. If you get anything out of these videos, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, any of those things. They all help out the channel. But if you really want to be a legend, come over and join our Patreon group. Patrons, being a patron, you can start at $2 a month. Gives you Patreon access to both this channel and my other channel, SV Paquita. And you get early release videos. You also get ad-free content. You get special private Patreon-only videos, and a little different level of access. So, and it's get to go to sleep every night knowing that you're doing something cool. So anyway, if you have a beer or you drinking a cup of coffee when you watch these, I think for the price of one of those, you could help out the production of them as well. Anyway, enough of that. I feel like I'm on a PBS station at the end of the month. Thank you so much for watching, and please help me grow my other channel. If you haven't subscribed to SV Paquita, put a link in the description below, along with the link for Patreon. You know, in the description of the video down below, you'll see all that. So please check that out. Really appreciate it. You guys take care, be safe, and as always, I'll see you on the one.